Hey there, Mercedes here from PrettyWebz.com, and today I'm going to show you how to create wrap text inside of Photoshop. This will be wrapping text around an image or an object. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that we're going to do is create some guides so that we'll know exactly where we want our text to lay out. So I'm going to come up here to View, and I'm going to New Guide Layout. For this guide specifically, we want 2 columns. Our gutter is going to be 50 pixels. That's going to be this section right here because our image is going to be right here in the center, and I do want some space between the text on this side and the text on that side. So we're adding a gutter of 50 pixels, and then our margin is going to be 50 pixels all the way around. We're going to clear anything that was existing there, and then I'm going to press OK. Now, I also want an area up here for my title, so I'm going to come back into the guides, to View, and then go to New Guide. This time I'm choosing a horizontal guide, and I'm going to position it 200 pixels down. So we have this area right here for our title, and then this area right here is where our image and all of our wrapped text is going to be. So we're going to go ahead and get started by creating the actual object that we're going to be using. So let me go ahead and add a transparent layer right here. And then I'm going to come over to my brushes, and I'm going to choose this right here is fine. This is the flat angle low bristle. And this is from Legacy Brushes, default brushes. So this is going to be the one that we're using. And I'm just going to make a basic shape. So this is going to be the shape that we're going to use to create the frame. I'm going to press the letter V on my keyboard, and I'm going to bring this down. I kind of want to see this area around here. So maybe I might make this just a little bit bigger. So I want to make sure that my object is centered in this area right here. So I'm going to come over to my marquee, my rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to select this entire section right here. Then I'm going to come to this layer and letter V on the keyboard so I can bring up all of this stuff. These are just alignment tools, and I'm going to align it vertically and horizontally just to make sure that it's in the center of that section and it's not including this section up here. Control or Command and the letter D to deselect that. Okay, now that we have this centered exactly where we want it, we're going to come over here. I'm going to rename this. This is going to be our image, and I'm going to right click and convert that to a smart object. I want to convert it to a smart object before I add a layer mask. I'm going to press Command on my keyboard or Control on a PC and just click because I want to create a selection from that. With that selection, I'm going to create a mask. So I'm going to come down here and just click that one time. So you can see that it automatically created a mask from the selection. Okay, now I'm just going to double click here, and that's going to open this up. You can see that it is a PSB file, and this is where our image is going to be placed. So I'm just going to grab an image really quickly, drag it over, and then just make some adjustments to it. Okay, I have my image exactly where I want it. What I'm going to do is take this right here and bring it above the image. This right here is now going to function as a guide for the placement of the image. Okay, so I'm going to come over to the text and just type out image guide. Now, it doesn't really matter what you type here. It's just for you or the person using this template to understand that this is not part of the design itself. This is just there to help them position the image. So I'm going to go ahead and press the Command key and grab that one as well. So we have the image guide and the image layer selected, Command and the letter E, Control and the letter E. We're just bringing those together, and then I'm going to bring the opacity to about 50%. You can go a little bit higher, maybe 60%. And then we have this area right here, and that's going to show you exactly what's going to show up inside of that image holder. Once you're happy with the placement of your image, you can move it around as much as you need to, but once you're happy with that, make sure that this gets turned off. You don't want this to be part of your design, so you'll just have to toggle that little eyeball off to make sure that it is not part of the image. And then we're just going to press a little X Make sure to save it. And now you have your custom image placeholder. And now you can just double click over here on the far right hand side, bring up your layer styles, and then just add a quick drop shadow. This is optional if you want that. Make it as strong or as big as you want to and click OK. That is just to add a little bit of dimension if you want it. You don't have to have that. So I have my image. Now I'm going to go ahead and start adding my text wrap to this. The first thing I'm going to do is come over to the marquee tool, the rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to use this square right here. I don't know if it's a rectangle or a square, but I'm going to call it a square. And then just bring it out to this whole section because this is the area where we want that text. Now, we don't want it to overlap the image. So what we're going to do next is remove this from our selection. The way you'll do that is come over here to our channels. If you don't see this little icon right here, you can come up here to Windows and then choose Channel, or Window I should say, and choose Channel. This is going to open up. You'll see that you have this image mask right there. That was created automatically when we created this mask, this layer mask right here. So we have this, and we're going to use it to remove this right here from our selection. On the keyboard, you're going to press Option and Command, Control and Alt on a PC, and you'll see that little square come up. You just have to click on that mask, and you'll see right here that it is automatically removed that from the selection. Our text is going to be here, and we don't want it to butt up here against the image, so we're going to contract this a little bit. So I'm going to come up here to Select, Modify, Contract, and we're going to contract it by 20 pixels. Click OK. So you can see that that's just giving our image a little bit of room. You can take it out even more. I'm going to go ahead and leave it as it is. So I have this selection. Now you'll see that little square when I hover over this selection. When you see that, right click and you're going to choose Make Work Path. Tolerance of 2 pixels is fine, and then you'll get something that looks like this. When you see that, you can come over to the text tool and then just click anywhere inside of there. It's automatically giving me some dummy text. That text is white, so I'm going to make it kind of like a gray color just so you can see it. I'm going to copy it, and you'll use this exactly like any other text frame. You can hit return on the keyboard, command the letter V, and I'm just pasting this in just so that you can get an idea of how this is going to contour around the image. We're done with this side, and now we're going to go ahead and do the other side as well. So I'm going to make sure that I have this layer selected. I'm going to come up to my rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm just making a selection. I'm going to come over to my channels. I'm going to choose this Option and the Command key on my keyboard, or Alt and Control. Click to remove that. Again, we're going to come here to Select, Modify, Contract, and we're going to contract it by 20 pixels. So we have our selection exactly the way we want it. I'm hovering over, you can see that little square there, right click, and then I'm going to choose Make Work Path. Our tolerance 2 pixels is fine, and again you're going to get that same thing. So we're going to come here to the text tool, click, and again I'm getting the dummy text. You can just start typing if you're not getting the lorem ipsum, because I have mine set up to do that, but if you don't have that, you can just start typing in your text. I'm going to go ahead and return, paste, return, paste, return, paste. I'm just trying to give you an idea of what this is going to look like. Okay, so now you can see here I have a nice clean edge on this side, and on this side not so much. So I want to even these out. I want to have balance between my text. So what I'm going to do is grab this one right here, and I'm going to come here to my paragraph tool and align it to the right. So I have one that's aligned left, and then this one is going to be aligned right. That's just going to give me, let me turn this off so you can see it. So that's just going to give me balance on both sides, and it's just going to make this look a lot cleaner. Let me turn that back on, and now I'm going to add something here. Okay, so I added some text. This is going to be my heading. I'm going to do something a little more fancy there. We're going to change that. I'm going to change the size to about 136. And that looks fine. I'm going to go ahead and change the color as well. So I'm going to just choose something from my image, click OK, and I might even go bigger on the text. So I'm going to go 205 pixels and then bring this down. Now I'm going to use this rectangular marquee tool and I'm going to choose this section right here that's inside of this guide. And I have my text selected, letter V on the keyboard so I can bring up my alignment tools, and I'm just going to align that horizontally and vertically. Command and the letter D to let it go. And this is what our final image is going to look like. So what do you do here if you do not have a layer mask to work with? So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that now. I'm going to turn all of these off. Let's see, I'll just rasterize this layer because, and let me just apply the layer mask. So we have just a basic layer now. There's no mask to work with. So if we come in here, well, let me click on that. Okay, so if I come in here to my channels, my mask is gone. So I just want to show you quickly how you would do this exact same thing if you had some, like a transparent PNG image or something like that to work with, and not the layer mask. So of course you could just go in and create a layer mask if you wanted to, but let me show you a different way. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on all my guides again. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that I have my image layer selected. Make sure that your background is white for this. You can add a white background in and then later on change it to whatever you want, but it's much easier to select this when you do have that white background. So I'm going to go ahead and come here to my magic wand tool. If you don't have this here, it might be under quick selection and you'll just have to hold right here and then the flyout menu comes out and you'll get that magic wand tool there. If you don't have yours set up the way I do, you can come here to these three little dots, hold that, and then you have a whole bunch of other tools here that you can choose from. So if it's not here, it's probably down here. So I'm going to go ahead and use this magic wand tool and then just click on the white area. So you can see that it's selected everything except for my image object. So what I want is to invert this. So I'm going to press Command Shift the letter I, and that's going to invert the selection, which means that now this is what's selected. Now if you see when I hover over it, you're getting that little square again. When you see that little square, right click and then choose Save Selection. I'm going to name this text wrap. Click OK, and then now when we come in to our channels, you're going to see that we have that text wrap selection saved in here. We're going to use this here in a minute to do the exact same thing that we did a while ago. So I'm going to press Command and the letter D to deselect that. I'm going to come here to my rectangular marquee tool and we're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to choose the area where I want my text. I'm going to come over here to my channels and then again Option Command Alt and Control on a PC, and when you see the little square, just click, and then you would just follow the same procedure that we did before as far as creating the text wrap. So we would go Select, Modify, Contract. We're going to contract it a little bit just to give this object some breathing room, and then hover here, right click, make word path, tolerance of 2 is fine, and then you'll do the same thing. Just come in here and start typing in your text. You'll do the same thing on the other side. So that's just 2 ways to do this. If you have a PNG image, you would use the second method. If you have an image with a layer mask, then you would use the first method. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Visit PrettyWebz.com for more design resources and tutorials. Until next time, thanks for watching.